Welcome back to my Lair of Action Figures. So today is going to be, of course, episode 38 of this week in action figure news, and there was a lot of stuff going around and a lot of crazy stuff. I'm going to be starting by a bit how Hot Toys ruined May 4th, and of course before that I will be talking about Hyia Toys bringing us, of course, Apollo Creed and of course a Python Trooper, and then afterwards I'm going to be moving on to the departure of Tony from Hasbro. Going to not do a full video, and I'm going to go into the stupid stuff about the problematic figure of Ahsoka Tano. So, let's jump into it. So, let's talk about Hyia Toys. So, of course, I'm going to start by the Python Trooper over here. I like the look that they give him. This kind of more bulky armor kind of gives the vibes of how a reptile looks with all of this. Of course, sadly, I have to do some choices and I cannot purchase everything that comes out, but I do like the look of it, and I think it goes more into the line of what we were expecting the classified line to go into. And as you can see, I guess this may be some of the designs that Hasbro had planned for certain of the figures. I find it interesting going into a new direction. The fact that it's Cobra, I don't mind this kind of shin guards and knee pads were in metal. Otherwise, if it would be G.I. Joe, it would be ridiculous. Same goes for the armor plate over here, but I do think they did an interesting job on it. Not a big fan about this kind of Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat look onto him, or some kind of M3 mask for painting on his face. That's something a bit disappointing, and I prefer the way that Hasbro went with the classified line. So of course went on to more of a classic design, but as you can see, they have reused the same weapons as the Cobra Trooper, who does have and does make a lot of sense. So again, basically, this is everything that you get with the figure. I think they're about $27, so about the same price as a classified figure. They have two different hands. Of course, you can recognize the rifle, two pistols, and a knife. This is what you get with most of those figures. And of course, if you have the Python Trooper, not the Python Trooper, the regular Trooper, you will know that there's a lot of similarity. So nice continuation. Now let's go on to 6-inch figures that can go well with the classified. So of course I talked about last week about Rocky. So of course now we're getting Apollo Creed from Rocky 4. So of course we have two head sculpts. Of course this is the match he has against Ivan Drago. So of course figure is interesting. If you want to have him in the classified line, it would make sense that Apollo Creed would be hanging out with Rocky Balboa. So it could be an interesting product to have in hand, or a figure to have, I may say, to be put in with your G.I. Joe classified, because of course you know that Rocky Balboa should have been the G.I. Joe trainer. So of course a few more pictures. I didn't take all the pictures that were released, but as you can see, they did a pretty good job, and I find Apollo Creed better than the Rocky figure. Has a bit more of a better look to it, and of course basically you get the same kind of equipment that you have. Of course they didn't go with a Bruce face for him, contrary to of course Rocky Balboa. It would have been nice to have a third head sculpt than the one over here on top of this one, let's say, and that would have been interesting. So this is also over $100. It does put it as a bit of a steep price for this figure. So let's talk on how Hot Toys managed to ruin May 4th. Now, of course, they have announced many figures. Some of these are not even over here. As you know, there's an Anakin Skywalker who looks like Michael Jackson. I did a video last week about all the stuff they announced, but mostly everything that you got here was already announced, and the only one who's missing in action is the AT-AT driver that I did a review of my Sideshow ones, and of course this one is missing in action. And the only new one we got for May 4th was Qui-Gon Jinn, but not the artisan version or exclusive version that was for the show. And of course, this is the rooted hair version. Now, what do I think about it? Well, if you miss the original one, it's who came out about 5 years ago, if it's not a little bit longer, well, you could be happy to get it. But again, I think this is a cheap redo. The head sculpt seems to be the same one that they used with the rooted hair, so I guess it was not very complicated for Hot Toys to make some plastic hair to put on top of it and give us a new version. So this one kind of was a surprise because it got the same treatment from Sideshow as the RSVP. So that's when you reserve, so you get a place to be able to order the artisan version. And that one turned out to be a real nightmare for me, but I managed to get him, so I'm kind of happy about it. But this one got the same treatment, like if he was some kind of exclusive when this is a general release. Really don't understand why for Sideshow went on that route with this figure. They could have put him up directly in pre-order without having to go by this RSVP. So it does not make sense at all that they did it. Now, of course, this one does have some issues that I have. It's always the same thing with the leather. If this is made out of real leather, well, we should be okay. But if it's not, this is going to fall apart. And this is something that is very disappointing. And I would prefer for them to go on to plastic with some good weathering. Would be a lot better than putting this kind of fake leather who's going to fall apart. So, of course, I didn't put all the different pose that they put, like separate rolling eyeballs. I took it for the close-up of the head sculpts. Of course, if you look at the rooted hair version, this exclusive one, the artisan version, it's basically the same head sculpt, and the only thing that they did, they molded some plastic hair on it. So here is everything that you get with this figure. Of course, you get exactly the same thing as the artisan version, minus of course the head sculpt with the real hair. Another thing that was surprising is this announcement from Hot Toys. They are going to be doing some Masters of the Universe. Now, I find this interesting. Not for me personally, but I think it's interesting that they decided to branch out and go on to something different and not continue with the general license that they already have. So that can be interesting. I guess a lot of people will be happy if they are fans of Masters of the Universe. I'm going to reserve my thoughts about it after seeing the movie, because this is also something that will determine on if Hot Toys is going to do many figures or not do much figures like they did for the new Superman movie. Now, let's jump into the crazy. So, let's dive into the craziness around Ahsoka Padawan from the 2008 movie released by Hot Toys. And of course, this is a picture that I took from Reddit, so whoever did it, thanks a lot. And of course, this is about Ahsoka Tano. So as you can see, George Lucas, I will let you read it. I guess you would have had time to read it while I was talking about it. But people are getting their knickers in a twist because of the outfit. So, of course, here is the figure, the exclusive. I did talk about it and said I was not going to be picking it up because I think this is a cheap reused part of the former version that they did of Ahsoka, and they only give a few extra bits like this part of plastic over here, and of course we get Grotto the Hutt, but all the rest of the equipment has already been used, and of course the head sculpt was already the same one as this one. And as I got this one and purchased it from Sideshow, I'm very happy with this one, and I don't need another Ahsoka that is kind of very similar to the one that I have over here. So yeah, this is a whole lot of controversy because of what she's wearing. But again, you have to remember, when a figure comes out that it's this one or this one, these figures go first to Lucasfilm, or Lucasfilm Disney in this case, and they need to get the approval from the brand. If there is no approval, these figures do not get made. So, or they will have to change it based on the recommendation. So this figure got the approval. So calling out Hot Toys or trying to do like some people are saying that it's a PR nightmare. Well, no, it's not. It's those figures were authorized. So again, if you want to blame anybody, blame Lucasfilm. But if you were crying about this figure looking weird and you didn't say anything back in 2008, 2009, and 10 when there was the 2 seasons of Clone Wars. So this is the person that I was talking about who wrote an article. So you're going to be seeing the article scroll over there, and there's a lot of stuff that this person has no clue what he's talking about. So I'm going to continue going through it, and of course, like I said, so Ahsoka Tano had this outfit for the 2008 movie and for the first and 2 seasons of Clone Wars. So if you were not outraged then and didn't communicate that outrage and there's no trace of you saying it, well, this puts you a bit of as a hypocrite about calling out this figure. Now, the other part that people are making, or some people are making, is the fact that they decided to go with the live action version of her. And for that, well, if you look at Hot Toys has said from the beginning that whatever Clone War figures that they're doing are going to look like the figures from the movie, and they're going to give them a more realistic look to it. So if you take Bad Batch, you take Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, all those characters have a tendency of looking more like Hayden Christensen or Qui-Gon Jinn, Evan McGregor, and all those characters look like it, even if in the cartoons they didn't look like it. And again, it's not like other brands, like of course here we have Hasbro. Thanks to the people who posted this on eBay, I quickly went to go and pick some of these. I must have one of these versions, or one of the versions who is out there, that I must have in my 3/4 inch line of Star Wars figures. And again, if you were not offended by it then and you come in now, well, that puts you as a hypocrite. I mean, I don't understand the whole fuss about it. Of course, here we have the version that was done by Sideshow, and you also have to remember this kind of design with the leggings, this short skirt, and this tube top was something that was popular back in 2010, and again the cartoon was directed towards kids of that period, so it would make sense that they would go into some of what clothes they were wearing. And again, I do find it weird that you think that having the head sculpt, if like I said, you do your research, you would see that Hot Toys didn't go with it, and only Sideshow gave us these figures with a more cartoonish look. So again, your arguments that you're doing trying to create a nothing burger over here are ridiculous. The fact that Hot Toys has been doing it from the beginning. So of course, as I said, and you can go and check it out, I was not going to pick up that figure because there was no seamless body complete, and it was just a cheap reuse of the other figures. So again, nothing there to be seen. And of course, it's a kids show directed at kids, of course, of a certain age, maybe more going into pre-teenage. Of course, I don't have a problem with it, and I don't understand why people are getting their knickers in a twist. It does not make any sense at all. Or people should love to have, and there's some other people on YouTube who did some videos about it, but they were talking about the reactions that you got on Twitter or X or whatever it's called, that thing. And yes, we all know that the people who interact over there are the most sane people in the world, the most intelligent people also in the world, and they're all future Mahatma Gandhi or the future Dalai Lama. Anyway, that's a joke because, yeah, come on. Those people are crazy, and they're waiting to know what's the next thing then they need to be outraged at. And again, if you're trying to create something like this and you think that this is some kind of sexual deviance, or you're seeing sexual as a minor, well, I think you may want to go and seek some mental health, because sorry, this is really nothing at all. And it's not like Hot Toys hasn't gone into different figures. I mean, if you're offended, then why are you not offended by that? I can understand. You can say, yeah, but they are older, they're over 18 or over the age of 20, so, you know, it's a bit different. But still, this kind of look could shock a lot of people, especially if you go into certain parts of the world. I'm not really certain that those people will come out not stoned to death. So again, it is a question of perspective. And mate, please don't go and read mangas, because you're going to feel like poor Tortue Génial. Can't remember the name of him in English because I watched these in French. And I mean, if you watch manga or even video games coming from Japan or even from Asia, you're going to have your eyes bleeding, and you might want to whip them out, because you will not believe the craziness that's coming from over there. I mean, if you watch Dragon Ball, who was very popular in the US, I mean, she's very young. This guy is a peeping Tom and was always trying to look at her, trying to get a close look at her boobs. I mean, Sangoku was still a small kid who was out there and lifted up Bulma's dress to go and look underneath and noticed that she had something missing compared to him. So, yeah, poor mate, you're going to have your eyes bleeding out. Then let's continue with manga. So this is a manga that I really appreciate, and this is the Knights of the Zodiac, Chevalier Zodiac, of course. And here we have the portrait of Tana, or Saori Kido, who's the name of she has, and she is the reincarnation of Athena. And as you can see, there's a lot of generous shapes that you can see, and she's supposed to be 13 years old. So if you're watching this cartoon and you appreciate it, does this make you a pervert, mate? Because I don't see that as such. I just enjoy the cartoon, but if you're going to turn everything into some kind of sexual fantasy, like I said, you need really medical help. Continuing with also some more Japanese animation, and this is of course Full Alchemist. Of course, if you can see, this is a picture that I took. Can't remember, it's something about cosplay, but I think it's also on Reddit. But as you can see, this here is supposed to be a mechanic. Okay, so this mechanic is supposed to be 15 or 16 years old. So again, I'm asking you the question, do you think this is an outfit that a mechanic will be wearing, or is this something that suggests something else? And is this something that you are going to have? And Full Metal Alchemist came out, it was what, I think about 2003. So again, it just shows you that this was something who was popular at the time. Put things back in context, because context matters. Of course, talking about more video games, of course, this is Metal Slug. So, of course, I had this game on Neo Geo when I was growing up, and really liked the game. I thought it was a cool shoot 'em up. And, of course, you were talking about how realistic it looks for science fiction. Realistic, people going in combat with top... you just saw it before, and look at how these girls are dressed, or even the guys. I mean, there's no way that you will be going, or very high chances that you're going to be going like these two girls who are dressed over here. This is definitely not going to happen. So again, just do your research. And again, this is something that is becoming annoying, where people are just throwing out stuff and have no clue what they're talking about, and are creating controversies and misleading people. I'm going to be doing some more videos about this misleading part, because this is really, really bad coming. And again, do your research, please, because this is becoming annoying. Let's get to the last part of this video. So, for you that have maybe noticed, this was brought to my attention that another creator is leaving the G.I. Joe Classified team or Hasbro team to go and join, of course, Boss Fight Studios. So, Lenny left. I did a video regarding certain things that seemed weird about his messaging, and over here, I haven't seen anything from Tony, but he seems to be going around, and that's a lot of people are starting to get panicked and are starting to go all crazy about it. Now, of course, not everybody is, but a lot of people are starting to say, oh, it's the end of the thing, the ship is sinking, that they're leaving the boat, and all of this. Now, you have to understand, and I've already explained it, that when you have a creative team who is behind figures, they always have at least a minimum of one, if not more, years of items in production. You don't turn the page, just leave a company, and tomorrow, 1 week later, you get the figures. I mean, if you collect Hot Toys, you know that there's a period at least of 1 year between the announcement of the figures, right, to they come out officially, if there's no any kind of issue and that they are pushed back. Same goes for Hasbro, same goes for any kind of company. They already know what is going to be coming out. So, of course, this gives up a lot of speculation out there. Are they going to be doing some freelancing, not freelancing? Again, from what Lenny said last time, I don't think there's going to be any freelancing on his part, because he seems to believe that he cannot have any more contact with the community. So this does beg to put some differences. And of course, Hasbro owns the rights to G.I. Joe because it's their product compared to other figures that they have, like Hasbro Star Wars stuff. This is a licensed product that they have to pay license. It's going to be expensive. Then there's also Marvel Legends who are also in there, and they're going to be having to pay some money, and a lot of money. I believe they might be able to renegotiate when the licensing comes to an end. Maybe they'll be able to bring it down, but that will depend on the success of the movies. But again, this is something that is going to be developed. And of course, I did a quick picture of Tony Colella. Of course, this is his LinkedIn profile. So, of course, he is also going to go to Boss Studios. So, again, Boss Fight Studios. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be very hard to be able to give something because he didn't put out any I would say Instagram post, or I haven't seen it where he's talking about leaving, and if he used the same wording. Now again, these people are coming, they may have worked already with them and directly, or maybe directly, but not under the cover of Hasbro, and may have shared some experience. But again, these people coming in, the time that they start working on the products, going into production and coming out, you're going to have to wait a year to see what they're going to do. And this is why for all the Hasbro stuff, all the G.I. Joe coming out for the next year will have Tony and Lenny's fingerprints all over them. So no need to worry over there. And of course, we only have about 20 odd days, or maybe let's say 30 days, before we get G.I. June, where we're going to have some live streams from Hasbro, and we're going to see a little bit more. So I don't know if Emily's still in the picture, but she's been also missing in action, like I said in my previous videos that I did. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting new development, and let's see who is going to be taking over from these people, because this is something that's going to be very interesting. I have a video that I'm going to be making regarding some of the missteps that Hasbro has done. I wanted to do it at the beginning of the year, but that's a little bit of a spoiler for it. So what do you think about it? Are you picking up any figures? Are you part of the people about this controversy? Let me know in the comments. If you agree or disagree with me, I'm always there to listen to uh, our passion and our fandom around it, and we can keep this civilized without needing to call ourselves names, because we are adult people. So that's going to be it for episode 38 of this week in action figure news. If you like this kind of video, please leave a like, share, comment in the section. If you have any suggestions, you can leave them also in the comment section. You can also go and check out my Facebook page, Instagram page, where I have pictures. Of course, Facebook is a bit more interesting because there's a lot more to go and check out. Of course, if you want to order any figures from Sideshow, I have an affiliated link. If you can use it, it will help out the channel. Of course, thank you very much if you use it. And of course, if you're watching this video on Sunday, I wish you have a fantastic Sunday. Otherwise, I wish you have a fantastic day. And like always, I will see you in my next video. Bye.